leading the way with important local coverage. You're watching WISN 12 News at 10.
Wisconsin voters packed polling places during a pandemic to cast ballots in last week's election. Nearly a week later, the results are coming in. Voters re-elected Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett to another term. He defeated his challenger, State Senator Lena Taylor, by nearly 24,000 votes. The race for Milwaukee County Executive has been razor thin. Tonight, State Representative David Crowley is declaring victory. And there is a seat change on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Jill Karofsky defeated incumbent Justice Daniel Kelly to serve on Wisconsin's High Court. Kelly loses his seat despite an endorsement from President Donald Trump. We have live Commitment 2020 coverage tonight. We begin with Caroline Reinwald and the narrow race for Milwaukee County Executive.
Well, this is a very close race. Like you said, Patrick, still one precinct not reporting, and Crowley is up just over 1,000 votes, although hours ago he did announce his acceptance, and Chris Abele endorsed him as well. But State Senator Chris Larson calls those declarations premature at this point. He is waiting it out. Both Crowley and Larson said if elected, they would immediately tackle health care during coronavirus first and then move on to their plan with the county as a whole. But both tonight told me they do understand that coronavirus played a huge role in these voting results.
We were trying to bring more people together. I think that where I come from and the vision and the experience, but also the work that I've put into this community for the past 15, 16 years has shown. And I think many people who didn't know me did their research, and those who knew me went to bat for me to make sure that we won this race. And so I think at the end of the day, a lot of folks were ready to see somebody fresh, somebody new.
For us, as a grassroots campaign, we rely on a lot of voters to go door to door and knock individually to be able to have conversations with folks. And obviously for the last 3-4 weeks, we weren't able to do that. And so what we saw was just a flood of money coming in from Abele, who is clearly trying to hide something in Milwaukee County.
And again, we're still waiting for the final results. Caroline, do we know which area is not reporting yet?
We know there are uncounted absentee votes in Wauwatosa, Patrick, and I just spoke to a representative with Larson's campaign. They say that they are looking into a possibility of a recount at this point.
Caroline, thank you. And to point out, the 100% that you're seeing on the screen, that represents the in-person votes reported by Wisconsin Election Service. Well, let's bring in 12 News' Matt Smith. Matt, tonight is not necessarily the end of this election.
Patrick, no, it isn't. And here we are in Milwaukee County, as Caroline referenced, waiting on 623 votes to be exact, coming from Wauwatosa. These are from absentee ballots, is the difference you see from the precincts reporting. There were issues tonight with both reporting from Wauwatosa and Franklin in terms of some delays with the absentee ballots, the county clerk tells us. Literally, as we speak, those remaining 623 votes, those ballots are being driven here from Wauwatosa to be entered into the system to get this final picture. Not enough in the county executive race, but as Caroline reported, the Larson camp also telling me tonight he is considering requesting a recount as they analyze these numbers and dig deep. Long story short, no matter what race you look at, no matter what election line you look at or ballot you received, this is quite some late night drama to cap off an unprecedented week. Six days after Election Day, the final absentee ballots in Milwaukee ended a grueling and historic process this afternoon, with the next chapter just beginning.
At the end of the day, this will be resolved in court.
And tonight, the deep dive has begun, not only from what was seen.
It's ridiculous. We shouldn't be here right now.
But also what wasn't so visible. The absentee ballots not delivered, the envelopes not postmarked.
This has been a very difficult election.
Milwaukee's Election Commission voted just hours before results came in to accept 390 ballots that either had no postmark or were not legible. All the images leading to what could be a messy post-election flurry of activity.
Every legal option is on the table.
State Democratic Party Chair Ben Wickler before tonight's results. Already a group of Milwaukee voters have filed suit, some who say their absentee ballots didn't arrive on time or couldn't vote in person because of health concerns surrounding coronavirus. DNC Chair Tom Perez.
It was voter suppression on steroids.
And Matt joins us once again. Matt, are Republicans considering legal action as well?
They are, Patrick. As you saw, Democrats tried to get out in front of the results earlier today. Tonight, Republicans within the state GOP are telling me they are exploring their options as well, especially looking at what they've seen the past couple days in terms of absentee ballots. There will be a lot of attention, I can assume, on Milwaukee's decision with those 390 ballots today. They are exploring their options, Republicans and and say they will have a final decision on any potential legal action in the coming days.
We'll be sure to stay on it. Matt Smith reporting live in Milwaukee. Well, here's the Wisconsin GOP's response to the election results. It reads in part, Democrats have tried from the beginning to rig this election in their favor by suppressing votes in the 7th congressional district, launching several lawsuits to chip away at Wisconsin's voter integrity laws and causing mass confusion surrounding the April 7th election. The party says it looks forward to President Trump being reelected in November. As we said, Judge Jill Karofsky defeated incumbent Justice Daniel Kelly for a 10-year term on the state's high court. 12 News' Ben Wagner has been covering this race. Ben, this was a blow to a candidate endorsed by the president.
Yeah, Patrick, several times, both on Twitter and on TV, President Trump endorsed conservative Justice Daniel Kelly, but it did not seem to be enough to sway voters. Tonight, liberal Judge Jill Karofsky, has won a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Now, Karofsky's win shifts the balance to a 4-3 conservative majority on the high court. Now, it was the state Supreme Court that ruled that Tuesday's election would go forward. Justices sided with Republicans to keep that election on April 7th. Daniel Kelly recused himself since he was on the ballot. Tonight, Judge Karofsky still says the election shouldn't have happened as it did last week, but said it's too early to know if there will be any legal challenges to those results.
We are still concerned because we wanted to make sure that every single voter, every single person who wanted to be part of this campaign had their vote heard. And that doesn't change tonight. I mean, what happened on Tuesday should not have happened, and it cannot happen in the future.
Ben, we're also hearing from Justice Kelly about the results.
Right, Patrick. We did get a statement from Justice Kelly's campaign tonight. It reads in part, quote, obviously, I had hoped my service would continue for another decade, but tonight's results make clear that God has a different plan for my future. I congratulate Judge Karofsky and wish her well as she assumes the responsibilities of this important office. Patrick, his term ends on July 31st.
Ben Wagner reporting live in Milwaukee. Ben, thank you. Another look now at the results for Milwaukee Mayor. Incumbent Mayor Tom Barrett defeats his challenger, State Senator Lena Taylor. 12 News' Derek Rose is live in downtown Milwaukee with that race. Derek?
63-37, Patrick. That was the margin of victory for Mayor Tom Barrett. But despite the two of them, Mayor Tom Barrett and Lena Taylor, having differences in the campaign, they were on the same page in not wanting in-person voting last week. The mayor told me he had a brief conversation with Lena Taylor by phone tonight. But in their respective public statements tonight, the mayor and senator both talked about voters being disenfranchised. The mayor, despite winning, said he is still upset at the decision by Republican leadership in Madison and the Supreme Court. Lena Taylor felt the same, but had a much more personal tone in her messaging to supporters tonight.
For those of you who had to wait in line and for hours, I saw you. Those individuals who waited and didn't get a chance to vote, I saw you. Those who called and did not get their absentee ballot, I heard you.
I think that there were people who wanted to vote who couldn't, and I'm very upset by that. We did everything we could in the city. I sent warnings. I talked to the governor. I talked to the legislative leaders. I sent not one, but twice I've sent letters saying this is a bad idea. Do not do this.
Derek, Senator Taylor said she is not stopping her fight. So what does she plan to do next?
Patrick, she said tonight she plans to file a lawsuit on behalf of those voters who she was speaking to in that video you just saw there. I asked the mayor if he would support her in that lawsuit, but the mayor told me since he does not have specifics on what she plans to file and when she plans to file it, he was going to reserve his comment for now. Patrick.
Derek Rose reporting live tonight. Milwaukee voters also said yes to an $87 million referendum for the city's public schools. The measure passed with 78% of the vote. MPS plans to use the money to expand educational programming. In the Democratic presidential primary, the win goes to Joe Biden in Wisconsin. Bernie Sanders dropped out of the race the day after Wisconsin voted. Today, Sanders announced that he's backing Biden. You can find all of the election results online right now in the 12 News mobile app. Once you download the app, make sure you turn on the alerts so you know when the latest numbers are in. The state reported 87 new coronavirus cases today. It's the first time since March 25th the number of new cases is lower than 100. 156 people in Wisconsin have died, and for the first time, the state is revealing the number of cases that involve healthcare workers, from physicians to paramedics and pharmacists. That number is 553, or about 16% of overall cases. Some doctors in Wisconsin are now treating severely ill coronavirus patients using blood plasma donated from those who've recovered from the virus. One of those patients is being treated at Aurora St. Luke's Hospital in Milwaukee. Doctors tell 12 News the patient was heading towards needing a ventilator to breathe.
The patient's doing well, in stable condition, and showing some evidence of improvement.
How do you define the improvement at this point?
So we look at clinical picture and parameters. So the patient is not needing a ventilator and not progressing towards a ventilator.
UW Hospital in Madison used the treatment known as convalescent plasma on 2 patients with coronavirus over the weekend. The UW program is part of a national study. They're not releasing results just yet. Weather Watch 12 now. Temperatures are dropping quickly tonight, Mark. Some people may want to think about covering their flowers.
And a lot of those flowers, of course, have bloomed over the last week or so. We've got the hyacinths out there, a lot of daffodils, and we do have a few tulips getting close to flowering, and that could be a problem because this temperature is expected to drop down into the mid to upper 20s, and 25 is kind of the magic number for if you have flowering. It's only flowering. If they haven't flowered yet, they're fine. But if you have flowers on your daffodils, your tulips, or your hyacinths, you may want to cover those up with a little sheet. And don't worry about your crocuses and snowdrops. Those are going to be just fine. They're pretty tough. Temperatures start out in the 20s. We get some sunshine, but then a couple of snow showers in the forecast, kind of like what we had last Friday when our temperatures actually warm up to spring-like levels, coming up in Weather Watch 12.
All right, Mark, thank you. Many of you were watching tonight's ABC special, The Bachelor, Listen to Your Heart. When there was a problem with our audio transmission, we will re-air the show in its entirety late night tomorrow night, early Wednesday morning at 12:05. We thank you for your patience. Well, Matt Smith joins us live once again. Matt, some absentee ballots are still being counted tonight.
Patrick, hundreds from Wauwatosa. We are where those will be delivered. We'll bring you the latest in a live update coming up.
Plus, the path of tornado devastation across the southern U.S. How many states are cleaning up damage tonight? And the NFL draft is just days away. How the league is adjusting to the new normal.